Need a laptop that's built to perform and designed to last all day? Select Windows 11 PCs starting at $499.99 are now at Best Buy. Learn more at bestbuy.com. Best Buy. Imagine that.
Want to elevate your travel experience? Here's how. With a Delta SkyMiles Reserve American Express card, you can relax before your flight in the Delta Sky Club with up to 15 visits per medallion year. And now through July 15th, 2026, you can earn up to 125,000 bonus miles, so you're closer to your next adventure. The Delta SkyMiles Reserve card. Check out the new design at www.delta.com/Spotify. Minimum spending requirements and terms apply.
Hello and welcome to Islanders Anxiety from Lighthouse Hockey and the Fans First Sports Network. My name is Dan Saracini. Joining me via Zencaster for this, our season finale, is my friend Michael Leboff. And Mike, I'm going to be honest with you and all of our listeners. Going into Wednesday's free agency day, I was in a very bad place. I did not expect any good news to come from the Islanders that day. I expected their division rivals to get better, which pretty much happened. However, several hours later, I found myself in a weird spot, feeling, if not excited for next year, a lot better about next season and the overall direction of the team. Even if I don't think next year is really going to end up being that good, I am a lot more confident and comfortable in where the team is and where they're going and what the plan is. That's me. How do you feel? Because we talked about this extensively last week and in other episodes. You wanted to see more direction from the team. Did you get that sense from their dealings on free agency day, July 1st?
I'd say not necessarily. What I feel like what happened was there's two different things going on, right? Like if you ask anybody in the league, if you sign the guys they did at the contracts they did, I think you just say, yeah, those are the kind of signings you want to make on July 1st. These are, low risk moves, high upside. I think, especially in the case of Matias Maccelli, right? Like, so when you strip it out of the context, I think, like on paper, the moves are fine. In context, if I want to be excited because I want to go into every season thinking and rooting for the New York Islanders to win the Stanley Cup, right? Do I think they got closer to that? For next season, I don't think so. I think they're still, and I think that they're probably in the same exact spot they were before last offseason. Just in like the general picture of the league. And that's not really what we're sold, right? We were sold that like a different thing. And like, I don't want to go into a new hockey season with like the tagline being, but we've got $40 million of cap space at this time next year. Like that's right. That's not going to excite me. I get that people are happy that there's more wiggle room. But I think when we actually pick through all that, that picture is a little off. But like I said, I think like in terms of the signings, the new guys coming in, totally fine with it. Big picture wise, I don't know. I find that this team is shifting deck chairs on the Titanic a bit. So that's how I felt. That's how I kind of that's not and in a weird way, that's actually a step in the right direction to how I felt going into free agency day. Because like you, I was like, this can really only go in one direction in my mind, and it didn't go in that direction, but it kind of just didn't move the needle. Not that I was really even expecting it to. Like I didn't think that they were going to be like, wow, like the Islanders just got Jason Robertson, right? Like I wasn't expecting that, but I was, at least in this, off season, 2-week period where it's the draft and the combine and all these trades are flying around. I was hoping that the Islanders would be a little bit closer than they were after game 82. When they did have Pete DeBoer coaching, I'm factoring that into the equation. I was hoping they'd be a little bit closer to winning the Stanley Cup, and I don't know if they are right now.
No, I would definitely agree that they are definitely not closer to winning a Stanley Cup right now. They're probably not even closer to a playoff berth right now than they were last year. And I know I used the word. I don't want people to take the word excited before and take away that I'm excited for next season. This team is definitely in for a tough season next year. And I can tell you exactly right now how it's going to break down because the season has been on repeat for the last 6 years. They're going to start out poorly. They're going to be behind the 8 ball, and we're going to think, oh my God, this is going to be, they're going to end up in a lottery. This is going to be an absolutely horrible season. They're going to catch fire at some point. They're going to grab either one of the final 2 wildcard spots or maybe the third in the Metro, kind of hang on to it for a little while, lose it for a little while, get back, lose it, get back. And then maybe when the wheel stops on game 84, they are in the playoffs. Maybe they're not. Like that's kind of how, and then, they end up in the lottery again, or they end up getting waxed in 6 games in the first round. Like that's the way the last 6 seasons have gone. Yeah. And I don't see this team varying from that outcome in any way, shape, or form. However, what I liked about this deadline, and we're going to get into all the signings, we're going to get into who's leaving, we're going to go around the league in the second half. We got a lot of Anders League talk. Don't worry about it. Was that every single one of these signings had similar feeling to it, whether it's Maccelli, whether it's Matt Kessler, whether it's Vitek Vanacek, a guy you literally called signing in our last episode. These contracts are all short and they're all cheap. And like you said, they are designed for one thing, to get the team to not next season, but the season after, in which they will have, as of right now, 6 contracted forwards. It'll be Matt Barzal, Bo Horvat, Braden Shen will have 1 year left. John Gabriel Pajot will have 2 seasons left. Anthony Duclair will have 1 season left. And then Cal Ritchie, who will be in the final year of his ELC. Everybody else is either a UFA or an RFA, including, Matias Maccelli, who just got signed. He'll be an RFA as well. The defense is a different story. And honestly, that's where I start getting depressed again. Because I'm like, these guys are exactly the same.
Exactly.
Right. But, and I get where you're coming from. Like, you don't want that to be the thing to hold on to, is like $40 million, because that can go away in a blink of an eye. They give out one bad contract, and next thing you know, that $40 million is up in smoke. Nobody wants that, obviously. But I did like the general principle of these contracts. And like you said, in a vacuum, all these signings are pretty good, particularly Maccelli, who we're going to talk about in a minute extensively. But I like that this was like, they came out and was like, this is what we're doing. Like, this is the way it's going to be. So this is how it is. This is the plan. It doesn't mean you have to like it, but at least it's there. And we can be like, okay, now I get where these guys are coming from.
Yeah. But I think that's their plan. I don't see how it is much of a change, though. Cause like you said,
right,
the defense is locked in.
Yes.
It'll still be Sorokin and goal, you'd assume.
Yes.
And not only is the defense locked in, but, it's every single one of them, bar Matthew Schaefer, has some form of trade protection.
Yep. And they're all over 30 years old.
And they're all over 30 years old.
Aside from Matthew Schaefer.
Save for Matthew Schaefer. And so, like, it's great to have $40 million of cap space.
Right.
How much of that's going to go right away to Holmstrom?
Matthew Schaefer.
Right? Like, the next year goes to Schaefer, like Holmstrom. Then you got to replace Kyle Palmieri, and it's not like, I think what we've seen this season with free agency is that no one's going to get to free agency. So that means that the plan is, okay, we've got $40 million in cap space, however much that ends up being. That means we can, take a run at the Jason Robertson, whoever shakes loose, right? Is there an Olympics next year? Whatever team wins the Olympics, when those guys all go together, I'm just kidding. But whatever group of guys get together in a group chat, are like, yo, let's bolt from our team. Like, the Islanders can then go get those guys. But I'll tell you what, if you have a shitty season, nobody's going to want to come. Like,
nope.
Jason. So I think that it's almost like the Islanders will literally have the same exact problem. I thought that this offseason was an opportunity for them to actually get demonstrably better and at least different. And they didn't do that, I don't think. And I guess that's why I'm disappointed. like I said, and I'll keep repeating, like, this is not saying that they should have went and signed Rasmus Anderson or Jacob Trouba yesterday. Like, I'm very happy with what they ended up coming out of July 1st with, and without. But I think just still sour with what they went into July 1st with, and like I said, like, I'm gonna get excited for the season, right? When September comes around, I'm gonna be like, "Fuck, man, I can't wait to watch Braden Shen and Andre Palat play for the New York Islanders." Right? I'm just as I'm
Right.
Pierre Engvall's gonna be back. I'm pumped, right? I'll be right there, ready for it. But right now, I'm like,
Yeah.
you got to do better than trying to sell me $40 million in cap space. Like, I don't want to hear that. Like,
Right.
when the Islanders signed Bill Guerin, Ruslan Fedotenko, John Sim, and who was the other one that was on that? Oh, Mike Comrie. When they signed those 4 guys and stuck them on that walking bridge at the Westbury Hilton, whatever it was, like, you went into that season being like, this team sucks, but like, they had some like oomph to it. They're like, we're gonna try this season, and they circled the wagons. It was a bad idea, but at least there was like a little excitement around that. I wasn't being told, hey, next year doesn't matter, buddy. Like, just close your eyes and wake up in 365 days. Like, you're going to be that much closer to, whatever, however, and then your next age plateau, 35, 40, 60, 70, right? I don't want to be sold that. And that's a little frustrating. It's like, why are you going with that? Like, instead of being like, no, we're just going to try it. We're going to try it. Even during the press conference there, Mathieu Darche was like, I think we're a playoff contender.
Yeah.
Like, at least we'll be around it. Like, I was like, this isn't what I want to hear. I want to hear, like, no, we feel good.
Yeah. I think it was the Isles Fix newsletter that was like, playoff contender. That's a very important distinction.
Yeah.
Not a Stanley Cup contender, not a conference contender, but a playoff contender, meaning maybe we can make the playoffs and maybe not. But again, if you look at the lineup, the depth chart, you're like, A, I've seen most of these guys play.
Yeah.
And again, we know how they're going to play, particularly on defense. And B, I don't know how much is Matias Maccelli going to put up this year? How much Matt Kessel is not a guy who brings any offense at all. I mean, if Matt Kessel plays the way they expected Carson Soucy to play and be like a, defensive, stable, totally quiet, third pairing guy, well, then that's fine, but that's not a needle mover. It's fine. That's what they wanted from Soucy, but that's not really going to move the needle. I mean, Vitek Vanacek might not even play for the Islanders. Like, he might play in Hamilton because they want to bring back Semyon Varlamov, who's going to be 38 and has 2 surgically repaired knees. So
I think that's the thing I'm most excited to watch next season. Honestly, right? Like, at this given moment, I'm like, I'm going to be rooting like hell for Varley to be just like unbelievable. That would be so cool. Like, hey, Vitek, welcome to the Islanders, and don't take it personally. I hope you play 0 games next season, because I hope Varley gobbles up a bunch, and him and Sorokin, But like you said, the needle didn't move. And it's not just about July 1st. I want to reiterate that. It's just in this entire offseason. And I think all of us went into this when we did our seasons over, obituary for the 2025-26 Islanders, who are really the 2021 to 26 Islanders. I think what we probably both said was, at least it's going to be like demonstrably different. And the captain's gone. We'll get into that. And he's off the roster, but his like kind of doppelganger in a lot of ways is here. Or was here. They traded for him already. So it's not even like that's like a huge, it's not like they deleted Anders Lee off the roster and replaced him with, I don't know.
Connor McDavid.
Connor McDavid or someone with like more of an upside that we wanted. It's his replacement is essentially Braden Shen. And so like I don't want to turn this into it is Debbie Downer right now, but the Islanders missed the playoffs again for the second year in a row. I think if you ask most people around Long Island and the team, and I've talked to some people who are in the media or people who I'm friends with who are fans of other teams, they're like, what is going on? And I'm like, the same thing as always. Like, it's just what it is, which is frustrating. So I don't want to rain on the parade, but it would be disingenuous to come on here and be like, No, I'm pumped already, man. Like, can't let's see. I can't wait to see that training camp battle between Anthony Duclair and Pierre
Yeah.
Engvall. You know?
Yeah. I want to talk about, when we talk about Lee, I want to get to the sort of national, outlook on the
Oh my
Islanders that doesn't really exist. And that's, spoiler alert, we're going to get there. But no, this is good. I mean, it's very rare that we kind of, and again, I want to make it clear, I'm not super pumped for next year either, because I don't think this team is going to be very good. But I guess I am leaning on the side of like, I get where they're coming from with the next year thing. And also I kind of like the additions that they made. So let's get into the additions really quickly. We've mentioned him before. The big one, Matias Maccelli, Finnish guy who sounds like an Italian guy. So already I like him. 1 year, 2.25 million. He will be an RFA at the end of that contract, which is kind of cool, because if he pops off like he used to when he played for Arizona, great. If he doesn't, sayonara. We'll see you later. You could trade him at the deadline. You could let him walk. It doesn't matter. He's 25, which is also nice too. He's not too old. He's of normal human size at 5'11", 187 pounds. He just shoot from the left. 71 games last year for the Leafs, 14 goals, 25 assists, 39 points. And if you ask any Leaf fan or any Leaf media person, they think this was the worst season anybody's ever had in the history of the National Hockey League, that this guy could barely skate with the Leafs. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, those are pretty bad numbers, but I've seen a lot worse, right? just shy of half a point a game. Again, 39 points in 71 games. It's not good, but I've seen, listen, we watch guys like Tim Jackman and, guys who could barely skate play. Like, I don't know why people complain about this guy the way they did. But he did have 49 points and 57 points for Arizona before they moved. He did not like Utah. Apparently didn't like Toronto either. So here's the big one. And the other thing that, I like the signing. I like the player when he played for Arizona. And again, he's not a small guy. He's a regular sized guy. He's in the right age range, which is nice. The contract is really nice. The thing that scares me about this contract isn't even Matias Maccelli. I'll get it right eventually. Matias Maccelli or the fit or any of that kind of stuff. What scares me is that 1 year ago, you and I sat here and was like, wow, that Anthony Duclair contract, that's a tidy piece of business. It was 4 years at whatever it was, like $4.5 million per. And I was like, $3.5 million per. And that was a tidy piece of business. So was Jonathan Drouin, who ended up being our weirdest Islander of the year. Like, those were all tidy pieces of business. Yeah. And Matias Maccelli is a very tidy piece of business for Mathieu Darche. But we have been down this road before. And, again, I'm thinking to myself, I don't want to do that again. I don't want to be down on this guy a year from now the way I am on Drouin and Duclair.
I agree. Yeah, it's like what was weird about this signing was you and I and a lot of people listen to the show, I'm sure, listen to Real Kipper and Bourne very, very often. And
that's where I'm getting this idea.
Yeah, right. There was nobody harder on Matias Maccelli last year than them. And I was like, I watch a lot of Leafs games because I'm a loser and I hate watch. And I'm like, he's not that, like, he looks totally fine. But he was brought in to be part of the solution after Mitch Marner left and was, as you said, didn't fit in the plans when Utah got better.
Right.
So I'm totally okay with this kind of move.
Right.
Knowing that what this kind of move is. Like, the Islanders put out a video of him zooming with Mathieu Darche and Pete DeBoer, and it's great, but it's Matias Maccelli. He's not, it's not, he's getting the, wow, look at the moment that Matias became an Islander treatment. This isn't Lionel Messi coming to your team, right? It's like, it's a guy who's like, yeah, no, he's a good fit for this team and exactly the type of deal I need to make. But I would say it's an absolute coin flip whether or not he is someone who we're like, no, this guy rocks, or is like, we're like, well, can't wait for this to see what they're able to get for him. If anything, like, they better move on that now because he's playing his way out. And Drouin is a good example. I mean, you could even compare him to Max Shabanov and be like, he's kind of just comes in as another one of them. And they just now have they've got such a glut of players of like this kind of
ilk.
Yeah, exactly. Like a high like this, the ceiling's there for Anthony Duclair. Right. You might think it's a joke, but like, the ceiling's there for Pierre Engvall. Like, he's a talented guy and he's quick, but you also know that the floor is there, and the floor, like, it's reminds me a lot of like the Oliver Wahlstrom types, and you know what it's like. And if you get you get this kind of player on one of his good seasons, it's awesome, but it's 50-50 if you do. So, but once again, this is the type of move that the Islanders in their present situation need to do. And it's very glad that they did this and didn't sign Boone Jenner for 6 times 7 or whatever, right? So it's a really strange place there where you're like the deal doesn't excite me, right? So it's and I think you can apply that to Matt Kessel. I think you can apply it to Vitek Vanacek. Like, these are all logical moves. It's just you didn't do the important bit, which was facelift the team, but it'll be fun to watch a little water bug out there, number 63. Hopefully, it's a fun number to watch, and I mean, it'd be great just because if he's great, it also will be a bee in the bonnet of Leafs fans being like, why didn't we get this version of Matias Maccelli?
Right.
So there's a lot to root for here. I think you can imagine him being an improvement, or bringing some improvement to, dare I say, the power play.
Yes,
as well. So like, it's good. It's a good fit for this version of the team right now. And like you said, it does feel Drouin-y. It feels Shabanov-y. Actually, Siplikov is a great example, right? Because like, we got a good version, right? With the first season with Siplikov was he was good. He was a good player. He produced, and then he was terrible the next season. So you just don't, these players you just don't know. And so it's so that's really it for me.
Every once in a while, there's a guy who gets there, maybe a couple of guys every year who played well in a spot, become UFAs or get traded somewhere. And somehow this game of telephone happens where played well for, frankly, a bad team translates into, this guy is Denny Savard. This guy is Marty St. Louis when he came to Tampa Bay. Like, all of a sudden, playing well for, having 49 points for a, frankly, dead in the water Arizona Coyotes team makes this guy Wayne Gretzky or Mark Messier or whatever. And it's like, that's not really the case here. Like, he put up some good numbers, and that was fine. Like, he's a fine player, but let's not conflate or overvalue what this, or, over exaggerate what this person actually is. If he can get to 50, somewhere between 49 and 57 points for this team, that's a huge win for $2.25 million. Absolutely. And like you said, Palmieri's coming back, but he has also got 1 year left, and then he's a UFA. Maybe he finds this guy is the magic, chemistry finder with Matt Barzal. Who knows? I don't know. But maybe they put him with JG Pajot, who's the chemistry finder with everybody, and they end up making something with Simon Holmstrom. So I don't know, but like you said, it's a nice player, the kind of, bargain basement signing that this team used to excel in, and find guys who, you can keep and really, make a part of the team going forward. But, at this stage, it's hard to call him a needle mover. These are all huge ifs and maybes and possibilities, but, until we see it actually happen, and, who knows if he doesn't work under Peter DeBoer. We all thought that, signing Duclair because he, had a familiarity with Patrick Waugh, I think made us all think, oh, this is going to be great. And by the end of their first season, they were at odds. And like, it was like, we didn't know if Duclair even wanted to come back and, be under this coach. So we don't have that to worry about that anymore, but you never know. Maybe he doesn't respond to Peter DeBoer. Yeah. So again, we're going to say this a lot. Nice signing in a vacuum, good value, possibly, a real find in the rough here, but that's a lot of ifs. So we'll have to kind of see. Yeah, but ultimately, a nice little piece that you find on July 1st. You mentioned him a minute ago. You mentioned him on our last episode because you called it. Vitek Vanacek comes in 1 year, $1 million, which is literally the going rate for a backup goalie. We're going to get to another one in a little bit. In Vanacek's case, he might not even be the backup goalie. He might be the third string goalie. But it's still, he's 30 years old. Had only 5 wins, 13 losses, 3 overtime losses with Utah last year. He's been kind of, lost at sea for the last couple of years, but this is a guy who has 100 wins in the NHL between Washington, New Jersey, Florida, San Jose, and Utah. And so he's not a nobody. And so, if in the event, listen, if Ilya Sorokin and or Semyon Varlamov go down for any significant amount of time, this team is screwed 6 ways to Sunday. And Vitek Vanacek ain't going to save him. But that being said, this is a guy who has played in the NHL and has gotten some wins. And so, it was pretty obvious that David Riddick wasn't going to come back when he, kind of fell apart in the second half of the season there. So Vanacek is fine. You called it, which makes it even better. I don't know what else there is to say about this guy
Yeah.
other than it makes total sense that he's an Islander at this point.
A ring in the room. Another ring in the room.
That's right.
His ring and Braden Shen's ring can battle. Yeah, I mean, it's Dave Riddick officially becomes a weird Islander. So congrats to him. But yeah, I mean, like everything else just kind of fits and logical, makes sense. The type of guy who's just a backup goalie. I love this like little merry-go-round of European backup goalies that's been going on for a couple of years with,
right.
And Riddick and Vanacek are definitely two of those guys that'll just be following one another across North America. Goalies, and we're back into the mold of goaltending doesn't matter. So it was also funny to watch the Sergei Bobrovsky when Sergei Bobrovsky signed with the Leafs, and then the Devils trade Markstrom to the Panthers, and so the goalie merry-go-round was just, I've got a good laugh at it. This, and then of course there's a Connor Hellebuck thing going on, and we'll talk about like stuff that happening with Zach Werenski. But yeah, I mean, I think if you told me that I had to get something right or my life depended on it, the Islanders ending July 1st with a player, I would think I would have bet on Vitek Vanacek being that player because they probably just called around to each one of them and said, "Hey, first one to respond to this text message, 1 year, $1 million to be the 2B on the Islanders, gets the gig." Oh, Vanacek, great. Yep, nope, no, number 41's not taken. You're all set there, buddy.
Also true.
Yeah, like you're welcome aboard.
So Vitek Vanacek was on the 2024-25 Panthers, who did win the Stanley Cup. However, he is not listed as having a ring. Sergei Bobrovsky played every minute of the playoffs that year. So
he didn't get one as sitting on the bench.
It did not say it. It did not. There's I only go by Hockey Reference, and there's no little 25 cup there. Maybe that he has one. I don't know. We could ask him when we see him.
Yeah.
Hey man, let's see that ring.
He was definitely on that bench. I remember him sitting on that bench that entire playoff run and being like,
yeah,
good for him. But because he had just bounced around a bunch, and he has had a couple of decent seasons as like a quasi starter too.
Yes,
so,
for the Devils and Capitals, I should say.
So,
as well. So
Vitek, I feel like he was made to be an Islander in this season, much in the way of like the Joey McDonald types, Jan Denis types that have come before him. So he's gonna be one of those goalies. So
he might be the new Jan Denis and have like the 3 weeks of his life or something. He just scoops up everything, and somehow keeps the Islanders afloat when they really shouldn't be. But we'll see. But in any event, you know what? It was going to be somebody. Personally, for me, of the goalies that were available, I probably would have preferred Connor Ingram, but A, he's probably going to want more money, and B, as pointed out by our friend Garrick, who let me know this on Blue Sky, it's a good point. Ingram probably doesn't want to be in a 3, you said 2B situation. He doesn't want that. He wants to either be a backup or a starter. So I kind of understand that. If I had to pick a goalie, it would have been Ingram, but whatever. Again, it's this carousel of European goalies. He's not one of them. Obviously, Vanacek is, but it's just his turn to play for the Islanders now, and that's fine. And again, if he gets any significant time whatsoever, this team has gone in a very, very bad direction. But until then, welcome aboard, Vitek Vanacek. Okay, then we have 3 guys that I'm calling the 850 Club because they all signed for 1 year, $850,000. They're all UFAs at the end of it. Obviously, Vanacek is too at the end. One is defenseman Matt Kessel, 26, big dude, 6'3", 206. No offense to speak of whatsoever. Had 3 points in each of the last 2 seasons with the St. Louis Blues. But apparently Blues fans kind of liked him. Want to see some more of him. Again, this is not a guy who's going to give you any offense whatsoever, but if he can be a stabilizing presence on a third pair with, let's just say, Scott Mayfield, that's fine. That's what you're paying him for. It's not that much. Or he ends up in Hamilton, one or the other. Same with Mitchell Chaffee, forward, played most recently in the Syracuse organization for Tampa Bay, 6'1", 205, right-handed shot, and he had 57 points in 54 games for the Syracuse Crunch. So 24 goals, 33 assists. Not too bad. He kind of replaces Adam Beckman, who left and had similar numbers last year. But also having similar numbers and really coming back to the Islanders organization is Matt Luff. But again, 1 year, $850K, 29, 6'3", 225, big dude. had 52 points in 62 games last year, split between Springfield and Bridgeport. Came over in trade for Julien Gauthier, who we talked about also on our Weirdest Islanders episode. So, most of the chances are these guys end up in Hamilton for a significant period of time. Maybe they get a call up here and there. I guess Darche knows Mitchell Chaffee from Tampa, something like that. I don't know. Matt Luff, the organization, knows now. I don't know. Again, none of these guys, these are the kinds of guys that you sign at this time. It's fine. They'll be cycled in. Maybe next year, those guys are out and some new guys are in. It's fine. I don't really expect Matt Kessel to play a ton for the Islanders this year, but I kind of get why they signed him. Oh, he's a righty. He's a right-handed defenseman, which is what they really needed. So maybe we'll see him at camp or when they break camp, but otherwise I'm not too worried about it. But listen, if one of these guys shows up and gives you some solid numbers and production and, keeps the puck going in the right direction and out of your net for a good part of the season, then great. If they don't, goodbye. Like that's it's very simple. Not a whole lot to say about these guys. Anything on Matt Kessel, Mitchell Chaffee, or Matt Luff? Oh yeah, I just realized 2 Matts and a Mitchell. So there you go. That's why it's a club, I guess.
Yeah, the 850 club. I like the Islanders Blues pipeline that's open since Bortuzzo has come around, right?
Right.
Matt Luff is obviously
who's now part of the Blues front office, the scouting staff.
Yeah, we'll have to get him on and let him know that he's an illustrious award winner. I think that the Kessel signing was especially necessary. You wonder if they traded for Matt Kessel instead of Carson Soucy. Like, do they pick up 3 more points? It could have been
worth asking.
It is worth asking with just how terrible that went. But what I also like about the Kessel signing and then just having a couple guys behind the entrenched 6 on the blue line is like, okay, like it's not Adam Boquist trying to take your job.
Yeah,
it's somebody who's more trustworthy, or it's someone with a ceiling like Isaiah George, and so it's not a career minor leaguer like Travis Mitchell, who
right,
his Islander career sadly came to an end too. But so that's what I like about that. Like, is there a point where we're just like, yep, he's just much better than Scott Mayfield right now, or even Ryan Polak and the 2 right Ds in front of him? You never know. So I like the Kessel signing quite a bit. I know his upside is basically 6 defensemen, and but that might be enough to chase Scott Mayfield out of the lineup here or there, or force him to improve his play. So yeah, I mean, fine with all these. Once again, in a vacuum, this is what they needed to do. I'm happy they avoided a lot of the names that were out there.
No kidding.
On D, especially. I've liked them to have found a way to reimagine this blue line. Mathieu Darche kept saying his phone was ringing. He was working so hard, but it's just too hard. It's just too hard to make a trade. Well, meanwhile, like literally every other team is doing it. I think the Panthers and Devils just were like on the phone with each other the entire time, gaming out trades. I don't know what was going on, but other teams made complicated trades and to reshape stuff, and the Islanders just didn't find a way to do it. So it's Matthew Kessel, man. Like, that's that's who we got to be like, oh man, hopefully Matthew Kessel can be the difference, to give this blue line a new look, a new scent. I don't think it's going to happen. So
I still feel like there might be some more moves coming. Like, I feel like, once everybody's settled down and all that kind of stuff, I feel like there's still chances that some of these guys can move, but I don't know.
Well, they were in on everything, depending on who you ask. I also really enjoyed that right after they signed Maccelli, they got Panarin'd by Oliver Bjorkstrand.
Yeah.
Apparently the Islanders made the same offer that the Rangers did, and he Panarin'd us.
That's funny.
And it was out there that it sounded like that was a done deal, and it wasn't. So there was a moment on July 1st where I was like, okay, like now I can sort of see how you're maybe going to be a little bit more competitive with Bjorkstrand and Maccelli coming in, and who knows what that signals that they're in on everything. Because the day itself, I don't know if you want to talk about just how the Islander portion of it kind of felt like, because we were told don't expect anything from the Islanders today, and we're like, all right, whatever. I wasn't, and then all of a sudden they started signing all these guys.
Yeah. We could get into that stuff later,
Yeah.
especially when we talk
Yeah.
about the Lee situation, because I always have takes on that sort of thing. But yeah, I didn't know that it was the same exact offer. That's pretty funny for Bjorkstrand. I don't know. I didn't want Bjorkstrand anyway for some reason. And I was like, but Maccelli was like, oh, really?
Yeah.
So
I thought them
yeah.
together. I was like, oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now you're asking too much, I guess. But yeah, I mean, again, all these guys are fine. If they're not, well, then enjoy Hamilton, guys. That's all I can tell you. Also getting qualifying offers and being back. We're not going to talk too much about these guys. Alex Jeffries, 29 points in 60 games for Bridgeport last year. Joey Larson, 28 points in 63 games. He's a forward for Bridgeport. And Henrik Tikkanen, who had a yeoman's 17-9-1 record for Bridgeport last year in 29 games. All these guys are back. We're going to talk about some guys who didn't get qualifying offers and are out in a second. But do you have any notes at all about any of these guys?
The only thing I say is I'm grateful that we're at a point now where we're talking about prospects who, like Alex Jeffries was a name that was argued about on Islanders Twitter, believe it or not, along with Mathieu Maggio, who will be part of the
William
next
Dufour.
segment. Yeah. Like these guys were like, these guys are the future. Like we got to find a way to get Mathieu Maggio and Alex Jeffries and William Dufour in the lineup. And there were different coaches and regimes being raked across the coals for not letting Ruslan Ishchikov get a fair look. And now we're like, oh no, we know what real blue chip prospects look like, and the kind of song and dance that comes with it, which is like they could be something special, but they're still not a guarantee, rather than like being like, but that Mathieu Maggio, like so. But yeah, I great for them that they get to stick around. New city for them, and I'm sure Joanne Hollowell will help them all relocate to Hamilton as better than anyone else could on the face of this planet.
I'm sure. But it's funny how Alex Jeffries went from being like, oh, this guy might be something one day. He's one of these kind of young players. And now it's like, he's kind of like the veteran guy. Like he might be the captain of this team, of the Hamilton Hammers for all we know in October. So, but no, it's fine. Again, Tikkanen, listen, this team did not have great goaltending outside of Sorokin last year. So Tikkanen, I guess, emerged as sort of the only one who was kind of, keeping his head above water. So good for him. Larson, honestly, I don't know if I ever heard his name this entire time. So anyway, welcome back, guys. Enjoy Hamilton. Again, you might be hanging out with Matt Kessel, Mitchell Chaffee, and Matt Luff. They already know Matt Luff, obviously. So, okay, so those are the guys who are in. Again, no needle movers. Maybe you find a diamond in the rough here and can work it out. Maybe a guy keeps the team above water at some point this year, assuming that Peter DeBoer can get them to play like normal NHL defense. Matthew Schaefer takes a step forward. Maybe Matt Barzal has another great year, that kind of thing. Maybe we can resurrect the corpse of Anthony Duclair. I don't know, but we'll see what happens. But otherwise, that is a truckload of ifs and maybes and possiblies to go forth with. However, that being said, there are some guys that we don't need to worry about anymore because they are no longer with us. I'm going to run through a bunch, and then we're going to talk about the big guy at the end. First of all, Cole McWard signed a 2-year deal with the Leafs for $875K. That's a 2-year deal. Mark Gatcomb, late yesterday, kind of / early today, also signed a 2-year deal with the Vegas Golden Knights for $875K. So $1.75 million altogether. Kind of sad about Gatcomb. We'll get into it in a minute. Travis Mitchell, you mentioned before, signed a 1-year deal with Anaheim, $850K. And then this morning, Max Shabanov signed with the Minnesota Wild for 1 year, $1.6 million. They let Matt Zuccarello, who's 36, walk out the door for a 1 year, $1 million contract with the LA Kings. And then they bring in a Russian guy who's 11 years younger than him, basically the same exact size, for that almost, I'd say, a little bit more than that. So maybe with Shabanov, we'll see if he can make something work in whatever spot Zuccarello was playing in. And then finally, the late breaking news, just before we came on to record, David Riddick has now moved on to the New Jersey Devils for, once again, 1 year, $1 million. Because again, the carousel of European goalies continues. Very quickly on these five guys, before we get to the Anders Lee discussion, I was not a huge believer in Shabanov. I had nothing against the guy. I appreciate him coming over from Russia. That's got to take a lot of balls, honestly, to do that. Give the NHL a try. I think he got stuck in a terrible situation with a bad team and a coach that was never going to give him the time of day. I don't want him to find too much success with the Minnesota Wild, but I am happy he got on with somebody else, and we'll see what happens. I really hate Minnesota. And you just talked about, a little bit of salt in the wound of the Leafs fans. If Maccelli can work something out for the Islanders, that's going to work the exact opposite for us, right? If Shabbat, right.
Cole McWard or Shabanoff, yeah.
Yeah. So, but I am glad that he's moving on. I think it was the worst possible. He came here with the highest of hopes, got stuck in a terrible situation, and I felt bad for him. Similar with Sipakov as well, who's now in Calgary after the trade from the Devils. And then Gatcomb, if you listen to the show, you and I are both fans of the Comer. I'm the only person who called him that. When they called him up last year and put him with Cizikas and McLean, the fourth line started to take a real shape. And again, I'm not going to give them too much credit or over exaggerate their contributions. They never scored ever, but they did give the Islanders a line that operated the way a fourth line is supposed to operate. They hit guys, they went into corners, they created a little bit of havoc out there. And for that, I appreciate Mark Gatcomb. I wish him nothing but the best in Vegas. I will be rooting for him. I don't know how much time he's going to spend in Vegas as opposed to the Henderson Silver Knights. But, Shabanoff might end up being more Minnesota Wild than Iowa Wild than Minnesota Wild. But I do appreciate both of these guys. And I kind of wished they had stuck around a little bit, but I kind of get why they didn't. Again, these six here, we're all kind of a bit in the same bucket. Nice guys. Glad they were here. Didn't really work out, but I'm kind of rooting for them, especially Rittich too, in New Jersey.
I have a feeling that Mark Gatcomb is going to be like a really important Vegas Golden Knight for next season or something. He's got there's just something about Mark Gatcomb where he's going to be a character in like the NHL story, right?
Right. I'd love to see him stick in Vegas for more than one season, which is obviously not the norm for Vegas.
But I think that he will. I just think he's like a guy that's just going to give you an honest effort. And it must be so nice to coach that kind of player where you're like, yep, know exactly what I'm going to get from Mark Gatcomb. Right. It's not going to be 2 goals most likely, but it's going to be, 7 hits or attempted hits, very few mistakes, and just a lot of hard work. So yeah, I mean, Mark Gatcomb's somebody that I can totally see myself 7-8 years from now trying to find a Mark Gatcomb jersey on eBay, because he was an awesome kind of soldier for the team. And I do think that he's I think the Islanders, had they not been in this glut of forwards, they've got so many forwards already on the books for next season. Had they found a way to already move one out, whether it was Duclair or Kyle McLean or someone like that, maybe he stays. But that's obviously didn't happen. I think that had he had one more year left on his deal and not Kyle McLean, we'd be having the opposite conversation about Kyle McLean being out and being like, that guy showed up, etc. But yeah, he's I think Vegas fans will absolutely love what you get out of this guy. So him, I will definitely miss the Shabanoff experience. There was a moment there where I was like, holy shit, like this guy might be incredibly good. And he was certainly entertaining, and unique. And I can absolutely see him going off, being like the like, I remember when Andrei Kuzmenko was just scoring every night.
Show. That was the way my friend put it.
Yeah, like he I could totally see Max Shabanoff having one of those careers, one of those enigmatic Russian careers, to take a phrase from the Dead Puck era, where he's, Pavel Bure one season and then Viktor Kozlov the next, like the bad version of Viktor Kozlov. And these kind of players just go up and down. I'm sure Minnesota Wild fans are probably like, who the hell is this guy? Yeah. And then when they they talk, they're like, oh yeah, no, Islander fans say he's kind of sick, but just didn't get a chance. So yeah, I mean, it feels very similar to the Maccelli situation. You could totally see this working out really well, or Max Shabanoff goes back to the KHL and is a footnote, and we get to talk about him. But yeah, the last thing I need is for Mike Russo to get to celebrate Max Shabanoff being on the Minnesota Wild.
We'll get to that. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, Riddick. That's Riddick. Gatcomb, Shabanoff. Am I missing one? I don't know.
McWard.
McWard. Yeah. I got a text from somebody up in Toronto who's like, "What can you tell me about McWard?" And I just sent him a screenshot that somebody just texted me about 2 minutes before that, and the quote was, for the first time, I'm thrilled not to see the Islanders move on from a player, and that speaks volumes of the two games that Cole McWard gave us. Which it's I mean I feel bad how much animosity I have towards him, but I just feel like he was so bad in those two games and so out of place that I just feel that way. But so hopefully he and now saying this, we're going to be like, God damn it, he's the next Gustav Forsling. The Leafs get him, whatever. But he's goodbye to Cole McWard. Just a quintessential weird Islander, and very happy that he made the ballot this year.
Yeah, I got to add these guys to the list, actually, now that I think about it. But McWard, I actually I don't want to say high hopes, but like he had won a Calder Cup the year before he came to the Islanders with Abbotsford. So kind of had a little bit of hope for him, but yeah, those two games didn't work. Oh, what I find funny about Gatcomb, Shabanov, and I guess Riddick, you can say too, because we could point to a couple of, they each had exactly one game where they were the best player on the ice. Shabanov was in Detroit, the 2-goal game. This looked like, holy shit, this is it. He's unlocked it. He's finally gotten comfortable in the US. He's going to bust out. And then he never approached that kind of performance ever again. That being said, his coach loved to change the lineup. He never knew who, if he was in, he was out, who he's playing with. It was a nightmare, I'm sure. And then Mark Gatcomb, we will always have the Alex Ovechkin scores the number one goal, the most, has the most goals ever in the history of the NHL. Who has 2 goals in that game? It's Mark Gatcomb.
Yeah. So I'm telling you, there's something about him. He's going to be a part of the story. He's just going to.
Yeah.
He's quadruple overtime game winner.
Something like that. Yeah, exactly.
Something crazy is going to come from Mark Gatcomb, and it's a shame it's not going to come from the Islanders. And his dad was promoted to chief of police in Malden, Massachusetts, the same day that he got signed.
That's amazing.
With the Vegas Golden Knights. So,
you sent me that. I didn't even realize, because they're both named Mark. Yeah. I just thought it was like some coincidence that some other Mark Gatcomb.
His Mark. Dad. Yeah, his dad. Yeah. So, I mean, just really, I just really wish this guy we found a way, but just he's not a. Once again, we were looking for needle movers. Right. I'm not saying Mark Gatcomb was one, but I mean, find me an Islander fan that did not like Mark Gatcomb. Right. Like he just there's a pretty short list of players that have walked through the door that will walk out of the door without like a single person being like, so and so sucks. I cannot imagine I could find someone be like, no, Mark Gatcomb sucks, because he just never tried to step out of his role. He was never put out of his role. He just had his role. He did it, and there's something nice about there was just something really nice about him being an Islander, and we will be thinking and talking about Mark Gatcomb quite a bit, I think, over the course of his NHL career.
Yeah, I think you just sealed the deal for me. I'm gonna have to find a Mark Gatcomb jersey.
Yeah,
clearance somewhere. He wore 16 too. My favorite number.
Like those guys, maybe Riddick gets one, and like maybe Max Shabanov gets like a thank you, Max, like graphic on the Mark Gatcomb return game. He will get a massive ovation, like a massive one, to the point where Jack Eichel and Mitch Marner are going to be looking at him like these guys. We got booed. Like we got shit thrown at us and booed. And like you there's people drooling over you. I don't know. I'd never heard of you before.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, seriously. They probably didn't know him. They won't even know him at that point. I could be halfway through the season.
What the fuck's the deal with everybody liking the good looking guy with the good hair, like the baby face that just came up from Henderson? Like what's his deal? Like why are they?
Oh, right. He's from Connecticut. They're maybe close by.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Does that sign say build Mark Gatcomb a statue?
It just reminds me of when Matt Martin came back and we gave him like a huge ovation, obviously, with the Leafs. And people were like, why are they cheering this guy? He's like a goon. And we're like, fuck off. Like, what's the matter with you? Have you paid any attention? Obviously, the answer is no. They haven't paid any attention. But like, that's our guy, man. What are you talking about? And of course, then he came back and we practically threw a parade for the guy because he's like the friggin' mayor of Long Island. Anyway, we are moving on to a guy who is definitely going to get a huge ovation when he returns to the Islanders. And that is former captain Anders Lee, who signed with the Utah Mammoth 3 years at $5.4 million per, so a total of $16.2 million. He is turning 36 on the day you're listening to this, Friday, July 3rd. And in 82 games last year, all 82 games, he had 19 goals, 23 assists for 42 points. He is 4th all time on the Islanders goal scoring list with, I believe, 309. If I had it in front of me, I would look. He was almost going to pass, he was 3 goals from passing Dennis Potvin for 3rd overall, somewhere in that neighborhood. We've gone over Lee and his situation a lot. There were reports that he wanted 2 years and the team wasn't budging from 1. He signed for 3 years. We don't know if that's the case. He hasn't spoken yet to the whatever the Utah media contingent is. They haven't talked to him yet. He apparently talked to Michael Russo, or somebody in his camp did. We'll get to that in a minute because we can't let that go. But, I am oddly okay with this. I think had the Islanders given Lee this exact deal, 3 years, 5.5, or almost 5.5, people would have been incredibly pissed off. Even if they had made all these sort of okay moves earlier, this would have been probably a bridge too far. We asked for some change. This is an enormous change. And you're talking to guys who are huge, huge fans of Anders Lee. I have his bobblehead literally right here on arm's length from where I'm talking to you right now. Just one of the best post-Dynasty Islanders of all time, a phenomenal guy, in the community, the charity work, the smile, the media training, everything. You could not possibly ask for a better representative of your team, both on the ice and off, of Anders Lee. That said, at 36, giving him 3 years at this much probably would have been too much. As much as I would have liked to have seen him, past Dennis Potvin on the list, would have been really cool to see. The team's got to move on. And as we were saying earlier about the contracts the Islanders did sign, they're all for 2 years or less, basically, except for John Gabriel Pageau, who Mathieu Darche talked about in his post, signing availability. Was like, I talked to Anders when we signed JG, and we're like, listen, he's a center, he's this age, and blah blah blah. I mean, obviously, killing penalties is a huge thing for JG and all this stuff. So that's why he got the 3rd year. And Lee didn't. We talked about last week about Tony DeAngelo. He only got 2. And I saw people like, why are they going to re-sign DeAngelo and not Lee? This is a totally different kettle of fish. And also, by the way, I was very disappointed. We talked about Kipper and Bourne before. I was very disappointed in Nick Kypreos trying to conflate Lee leaving as a UFA and Tavares leaving with the UFA. They're not even apples and oranges. They're like apples and onions. They're apples and baseballs. Like, they're not even almost in the same stratosphere. So we can forget about all that stuff. I didn't see anybody else saying that. I think Nick was just doing that for the radio. But I am sad to see him go because he is a wonderful person, and I know he's going to get his due celebration when he returns. That being said, losing the guy on the ice, I'm okay with this and how this all shook out. And I think if they had signed him for like 1 year, $1 million, I'd be fucking pissed off. But, right. The fact that they gave him this and, they do need to move on at some point, and get some new blood in here. I'm okay with this. How are you feeling about the Anders Lee leaving for Utah?
Right. I think that's right. Right. It's sad, not mad, I guess. Right. Is the way to look at it. And the only thing I am mad at is I do think the Islanders, Anders Lee is paying for the sins of the 2 general managers.
Yeah, there's something to that, I think.
And I think that's what, like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to bring up Mark Gatcomb again. But, like, in a way, Gatcomb and Lee are both, they were just victims of a numbers game. And what sucks is I could find you 7 or 8 guys who I wish were victims of a numbers game on this roster. And those guys wouldn't be on the list. Right.
Yeah.
And so it feels a little unfair in that way. I do agree with you though that had the Islanders signed this deal, the conversation we'd be having would be like, look, this guy does so much off the ice, and
right?
It, like we've had very bad, like very mediocre captains before. We've had a coward as a captain. We've had a couple cowards as captain, but it's been very rare in our lifetimes, as that the Islanders have had this kind of version of a captain. He is like an NHL captain, like what they're supposed to be, and that's much rarer than you think. I think the Islanders have a couple players on this team who are cut from the same cloth as Anders Lee.
Yeah.
And I believe that is a product of Anders Lee being Anders Lee, right? Like, I think that's why these guys are I could see Matthew Barzal being a very different NHL player had he not been kind of in this room, right? Like you can see how he's still got the leather jacket, cool boy, outsider, pony boy look, but he's like, I understand. Josh Hosang brought it up, right? Like I was an NHL player, but I was a bad professional. But it was really hard for anybody to be that on this team, and it was because of the example that was set by Anders Lee.
And
I
want to say to that point, I'm glad that Matthew Schaefer had Lee this year because I feel like he's learned a lot from him in that exact vein.
Exactly, right? Like he saw what JT Miller is JT Miller is like is a captain in the NHL, the closest one physically to Anders Lee, or was, and he's exactly what he is a performative version of the NHL captain, whereas Lee is just what it was, and what is what it means to be. So in that way, like, gonna miss the guy. The numbers speak for themselves, of course. The memories speak for themselves. The look, in a weird way, he looks a lot like the Utah Mammoth logo, and Anders Lee, I feel like, have the same shape.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah,
there's something that you Rorschach tested. If you show me this as like if you show me the Utah Mammoth logo as like a bunch of blots and dots, I'd be like, oh, it's Anders Lee. But it's it's a big contract. Everyone's happy for him across the board. I did like that I guess we can move on to how the media covered it now, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
And we'll get to the Michael Russo thing next. But when Elliot Friedman tweeted that like him and Trocheck were both going to Utah, he's like, the Mammoth are now a major player on the NHL landscape. Like, yeah, well, how many times are you going to put them on Sportsnet this year, do you think, buddy? Like, what does that even mean? They're one of the 32 teams in the NHL, and they just I don't think had the Washington Capitals signed Anders Lee, he would have said something. It's just so funny how they need to shield up for Ryan Smith.
Well, or Bill Armstrong.
Or Bill Armstrong,
the guy who was doing all the signing, and the guy, we're going to be a player. We're going to go out there and do all stuff. Okay, well, yeah. I mean, I guess they signed Anders Lee, so that's pretty good. But I am fascinated by this, and I know people are probably going to roll their eyes, but this is our season finale, so you have to indulge us in this. But I am going to be fascinated not only in seeing how Anders adapts to playing on a different team and in the Western Conference. Like, this guy is, I mean, a lot of guys come east because they're tired of the travel. This guy is going west, where he spent his entire career going, from Long Island to Manhattan to Jersey to Philly to Boston to Washington. It's all like you could take a bus there, or a train. Now I think the closest team to Utah is what? The Avalanche, right?
Yes,
yeah. So, it's going to be a lot different for him, but we'll see what happens. But I am fascinated not just by that, but by how people in the Western Conference who have covered the Western Conference, the Central Division specifically, and obviously the Pacific Division as well, are going to adjust to the fact that this man has played 900 some games for a team that they have never watched. And they are all of a sudden going to have to understand who he is as a player and as a person without ever paying a single iota of attention to Anders Lee during those 900 games when he played for and captained the New York Islanders and scored 40 goals at one point for the New York Islanders. Like, listen, we could go back and forth all day about Anders Lee memories. Like, we love the guy. We remember when he got called up, and I remember him scoring that 40th goal in Detroit that year in 2018. And it was like, oh my God, this is, if with him and Tavares, this team is, gold. Well, it didn't work out that way. I remember when he was named captain and all the stuff that Barry Trotz talked about. And I remember him, we all remember him smacking the wall in the locker room, because he couldn't play and, breaking his leg. Johnny Boychuk freaking broke. Like, all of these things we remember because we have watched this man play this 900 plus game and we love the guy, right? If you're covering the Utah Mammoth, the Deseret News, which I think is covering, or you're covering the Dallas Stars, and here's Utah to play, your game. What are they going to know about Anders Lee? What are they going to know? What Chaos is a great podcast. I listen to those guys. I started listening to them this year. I'm so glad I did. They're great guys. They cover everything. It's wonderful. I watched their free agency thing, and it became a running gag that every time somebody mentioned, oh, Anders Lee had signed with Utah, they would immediately change the subject. Like, it didn't mean that way, but it just became this running gag because Pete Blackburn said it. They got off another subject. Somebody said it again. They got off on at one point, once they started talking about him, they immediately, and I mean within 45 seconds, segued into Minnesota Vikings quarterbacks, because they went to the football thing, and then they started talking about Minnesota, and then they started talking about Dante Culpepper for literally 10 minutes. And it was like, this is, we talk about this all the time, how this team is covered, how they are literally not part of the National Hockey League. I should have mentioned that also feels like that's what next year's is going to be. They're not going to be part of the National Hockey League. Yeah. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Like, a conversation about, people spent so much time on Boone Jenner, who's kind of the same player, right? Or like Jacob Trouba signing with the Sharks, or like the Darnell Nurse,
Luke Shen
signing with the Canucks, like all these different guys. I'm not even talking about like Bobrovsky, forget about him, and like all those kind of big guys, but like all these dudes moving around, and nobody's going to say anything about Anders Lee because they don't know anything about Anders Lee, because they never bothered to watch the Islanders play or know what his role is, know all the stuff that he did for the team, know what he does in the community. Like, and it's just, I am fascinated by how this is going to unfold and how these people are going to come to know this man who we have known and come to love. And like, when he comes back here and he gets a thunderous ovation, and people chanting, "You're our captain," blah, blah, all whatever. I don't think people are going to be surprised necessarily, but they're going to be like, wow, this guy really meant something to this team, and I fucking missed it because I wasn't paying any attention.
I was calling him a journeyman. He's gonna be like, oh, yep, the mammoth sign journeyman Anders Lee.
Yeah.
After never mind. 900 games with the Islanders. Yeah, it's
this is going to be, before you go, this is going to be like, I remember when Franz Nielsen signed with Detroit.
Right.
And it was like, okay, that's a good fit. I think people kind of generally knew him as a good player all around, 200-foot player. They, with all due respect to my Red Wings fan friends, they did not love and appreciate Franz Nielsen in any way, shape, or form the way we did and still do. And this is going to be that times 100 because of the longevity of, obviously, of what Lee
right did. Yeah he's leaving a massive hole in the island, like like not just, which is, as you said, this is when Claude Giroux got traded from the Flyers to the Panthers, they essentially put every flag in Canada at half mast. Like, and Philadelphia isn't in Canada.
Last time I checked.
This like, they were like, I can't believe it. It's gonna be so weird. But yeah, this one is just the Islanders are just not even a part of the story, and there's nobody better to exemplify that than our buddy, former newspaper boy, Michael Russo, right? Like, and I think he gave you a glimpse of how this is gonna kind of just get covered. It's like if this was a story that involved the Minnesota Wild and the Utah Mammoth in this guy's mind.
Right.
This guy just kind of he was in Minnesota. He was born in Minnesota. Something happened over the last 15 years. Not totally sure what, but he's a Minnesota boy, but he chose Utah. And I guess we have to pull up the tweet to read it, because I think
have it right here.
I think this was before you read it. I was going into free agency day, like you expected to be somewhere between extremely angry and underwhelmed. And the only time I actually got mad, like actually mad, and like was like, I don't even know if any of this is worth it anymore. Watching the sport was when this got sent to me, because I found this to be the most offensive thing to read in like my entire life. If I was in the same room as Michael Russo when this tweet came across my purview, I think I would have tackled him. I think I would have just absolutely tackled him and been spending a night in a Duluth, Minnesota jail or something.
This is, listen, few beat writers are as hardworking as Michael Russo. He covers this team from stem to stern, and he does, a really, really admirable job of this. But sometimes he is so completely off the reservation that you just want to smack him upside the head or tackle him, as you just said. And this is exactly one of those moments. He's covering the Wild. Now, the Wild did not have a particularly great free agency day. They didn't really sign a ton of guys. A couple of guys walked. They ended up trading for Blake Coleman and Oli Mata, which is never a good idea. At this point, we've seen Oli Mata enough. I don't know why you'd trade for the guy, but in any event. So this is actually not just one tweet. It's actually three. And, because this is our season finale, I'll do the music. It's not a Michael Russo mystery because we know who they are about. but we're going to play it that way. First tweet, part 1, goes this. Anders Lee's rep continues to work through all the calls and teams. As we reported yesterday, he played this by the book. So he's taking his time for the first time today to examine each team and fit and contract offer. A couple of hours later, we get to part 2. I'm told by sources that Anders Lee is not signing with the Minnesota Wild. Okay. All right. So you think that's the end of the story, but it's not, because there is a explosive final chapter to this very, very small mini trilogy in which Michael Russo posts, quote, Anders Lee agonized over his decision to not sign with the Minnesota Wild. They gave him a presentation earlier today. When he made his decision to go to Utah, agent Neil Sheehy said he told Anders, I'll call Billy. Anders said, no, I'll call Billy.
I'm like seething, just
I just
absolutely seething.
He agonized over his decision to not sign with the fucking Wild.
Yeah.
Brother, are you kidding me?
Where his number will be in the rafters.
Right. Like, what? Come on.
I mean, Michael Russo, when he joined The Athletic, completely jumped the shark and just became the biggest Minnesota Wild fan out there on the internet. And this is why he has the Michael Russo Mysteries anthology. You know, there's not many beat writers on teams that mean very little to the Islanders,
right?
That find their way onto it, but he did, and this is why, because he's so ham-fisted. If I ever get a chance to, I will bring this up to him. I will just be like, what was that about? What was that about?
Right.
Because I was in the middle of like coming, because he hadn't signed anywhere yet for most of the day. And as he said, he played it by the book, the Lou Lamoriello way of, no, he's not going to tamper. He's going to wait till 12/00/0001 to start the free agency process. And so it took a while for anything to trickle out. He signs with Utah, later in the day. And I had kind of just come to grips with, damn, he's really not coming back. Right. Yeah. Like, he's just not. Like, it took a long time, and I don't know, like, it sucks that Anders Lee's not on the Islanders anymore, because Anders Lee, the human being, I want him to be on the Islanders forever. I don't care if he's 73. Like, I'm like, no, he needs to be on the bench because he's such a good person. And that's the type of person you want to root for. Like, it's fun to go to root for really good people on your team. Yeah. And finally coming to grips with that, to just have this absolutely slap me in the face. I'll call Billy. Shut the hell up, dude. Like, come on.
So I think I mentioned this in the last episode. I actually was at work. It was a Wednesday. I'm usually in the office on Mondays and Wednesdays. And so I didn't expect much this year. So I decided to go to work. Usually I would either work from home or take the day off. And I saw that tweet and I was so mad, and I couldn't do anything about it because I couldn't say anything. I mean, I have friends in the office who are like Islanders fans, but I couldn't. I would be like a raving lunatic.
Right.
Like,
you see this Michael Russo tweet? Who's Michael Russo? Is he a celebrity chef? No, he covers the Minnesota Wild. Did you see this tweet?
I posted it in our Patreon chat because I knew people would get it. And I think I had a meeting at that point. So I'm just like, what a loser this guy. Like, I can't even believe that he wrote this. But that's just the way it is. Like, they are, and every beat writer, I think, is myopic in their own degree because they're covering the team. Like, that's their job. And I get that. But like, man, you can't put that out there. You can't. You're just going to throw 900 games with another team just in the garbage because the guy is from your state and maybe talk to you once or twice. And what's funny is that it reminded me of a year ago. Again, remember when John Buchagras was like, oh, the worst kept secret in hockey is that Brock Nelson's going to end up with the Minnesota Wild. Guess what? He didn't. And he never was. So like, these guys keep doing this.
Yeah, these guys, and then they actually just turned them down. Like they had every opportunity to do it. And
right.
Yeah.
So, and it's infuriating.
It's like, it is. I think it's like, it's incredibly unprofessional just to like be like
no
to act
kidding.
like this. And what's worse is there's going to be other beat writers and folks who in the media who see this and are like, wow, what a story. What a, like Anders Lee, man, what a
Right.
class act the way he treated his beloved Minnesota Wild. Like,
Yeah. Right.
what? I mean, yeah, it's so annoying, and it's when he returns to the island and gets that massive ovation. I really wonder if I really hope that it gets the credit it deserves, because when he returns to Minnesota and doesn't and Michael Russo doesn't hear one person,
right,
we will get the Anders Lee the story. He'll finally, I finally got an opportunity to write about Anders Lee now that he's not a member of the New York Islanders. Michael Russo, so he'll get that feature. But
right,
yeah,
but this is what I'm talking about. Like, this is, I mean, again, What Chaos is a great podcast. Those guys are great. They cover everything. They didn't talk about Anders Lee signing. Michael Russo was only concerned about Anders Lee signing with the Minnesota Wild. Did not give one shit about the Islanders. Like, this is, we talk about this stuff because this is real. Oh, and again, Kipper and Bourne, I was like, oh, they're like, oh, when we come back from break, we're going to talk about the Anders Lee situation on Long Island. And it's Nick literally making up shit out of whole cloth. And to their credit, Justin and Sam being like, what are you talking about? This isn't anything like Tavares. Sam was like, this guy's 35 years old. What are you talking about? He's been the captain there for 9 years. Like, and then they're like, he was like, well, they got Schaefer now. So, and Justin was like, Nick, you're completely off your rocker. And he's like, but another captain is walking out the door, JB. It's like, no, this isn't anything like this. So I that made me mad too. Cause like, I should have known that Kiprios kind of just stirs the pot because that's part of the job there too. But like, that made me mad. And again, to his credit, Justin was 100% totally on the ball with what he talked about and how, the Islanders kind of misplayed this a little bit. It's a little weird. It's obviously well before he signed with Utah. So Justin had it right. Sam was also on his side and everything, and Nick was doing, but like, it kind of started there. And I'm just like, I am absolutely fascinated by how this is going to play out with people in the entire other conference being like, whoa, so you've been in the league before? Right. Yeah. I've spent 900 games playing.
I think the simple way to look at it is like when a player of this ilk and who's this impactful to an NHL team leaves, the story is about the leaving, right? Yeah. In this situation, it's about the arrival and the free agency process. And I can tell you that if Anders Lee played 915 games for basically any other team in the NHL, the story would have been about the leaving, the impact, how much he meant to the organization. But instead, it's just, boy, what a get for Utah and poor Minnesota depending on who you cover.
Yeah.
So, we're the only team that gets that treatment. It's a bizarre thing, and as we've said for 8 years, like, this is a real thing. This is just somehow has happened. That this is what goes on. Right. So,
and again, it'll also be fun to contrast this between Boone Jenner, who we all know very well. Right. Again, very, very similar profile, only with Columbus, and like, nobody's, people have talked about Boone Jenner thing signing with Washington because it's kind of a crazy thing. So, anyway. That's another layer to this league thing. But that being said, it's it is sad to see him go. I'm glad the Islanders didn't give him this contract. I know that might sound a little bit weird, but I think you guys all kind of get it. And I for one really wanted to see him become the third highest goal scorer in team history, because no offense to Dennis Potvin or anything, but like, that is the highest achievement that somebody could possibly gain. He's not going to pass Brian Trottier. He's not going to pass Mike Bossy. But that would have been the highest level that you could possibly achieve. And I think Anders earned it. He's a great dude. Oh, sorry. I wanted to say, when this contract is over, and I'm assuming he's retires because he'll be 39, 40 years old, he's 100% coming back here and is settling with his family. And actually, I was just reading, ironically, about Kyle Lowry signing a 1-day deal with the Raptors to retire after a 20-odd year career, which sounds crazy because I didn't think he'd been in the league that long. And I thought to myself, we're going to see an Anders Lee situation like this, where he's going to come back and work for the team or whatever when it's all said and
done. Yeah. No, I really hope so. I hope that that's how this ends. It ends. It has somewhat of a somewhat of a happy ending, but
Yes.
yeah, it sucks. It's a sad situation. I think as you misplayed is probably the right word as well. So yeah, I mean it's just going to be weird. It's going to be really weird to not talk about.
Right.
And the ups and downs were there, right? We're like, Anders Lee's better. He should start scoring soon for us. Like, but
yeah,
like, so we're not talking about a
right.
guy who you could have written in for 40 goals. There's a good chance that Matias Maccelli outproduces Anders Lee next year for sure. Like,
dude, Braden Shen, I know we're shitting on the guy a little bit, but like, there's a good chance that he literally reproduces the exact numbers that Anders Lee.
Yeah, he could be better than Anders Lee for sure. Like I get that, but yeah, it's the overall impact sucks because he's just I think the impact in the room too. Who knows? Like, I think the Islanders are in a situation where they've got enough. You know, they've got the Bo Horvat types.
Yes.
They've got the Shen. You know, even someone like
Braden
Shen or
Pellick,
Barzell, Palmieri, like these guys.
Yeah,
Pajot.
Right.
I think that they're well suited for this, but at the same time, it just
Yeah, I agree. I am curious also to see how this affects the Islanders' room, but we will find out next year when that happens. But in any event, Anders Lee, via con Dios, thank you for everything. We really appreciate you and your efforts. Good luck to you and your family. Good luck to your wife for having to move all those kids out there to Utah this summer. I'm sure that's not going to be easy for you guys, but we can't wait to see you again here and give you a huge ovation. Okay, been a long first half. Let's take a break. Come back on the other side. We will talk a little bit about some of the other signings that went down around the league. Clear the decks on anything else we want to get off our chests in our season finale before we take our summer hiatus and come back in October. So for now, you can meet us on the other side. Thanks. And now a word from our sponsors. VintageIceHockey.com. Over 100 classic hockey logos on t-shirts, jerseys, hats, mugs, and more. Long Island Ducks, Albany Riverettes, Danbury Trashers, Kentucky Thoroughblades, and so many more. Plus a full line of Islanders Anxiety merch with our portion of the sales going directly to the Center for Dementia Research. These incredible items cannot be found in stores, so shop VintageIceHockey.com today. Relax, sit back, and enjoy wine from The Pinot Project. Rosé, Pinot Grigio, or a Pinot Noir that was named a Best Buy by Wine Enthusiast magazine. These wines are delicious, affordable, and available at area wine shops and at UBS Arena. Learn more at thepinotproject.com. And please, drink responsibly.
This is going to be an extremely busy month. I have to watch 104 soccer games, follow the pregame, the postgame, yell useless opinions at the TV. It's a lot. So I knew that when it comes to screening for colon cancer, the choice was clear. The Cologuard Plus test. It can be used at home and can only take 15 minutes, so I can do it during halftime and not miss any action. If you are 45 or older and at average risk, ask your healthcare provider about screening for colon cancer with the Cologuard test. You can also request a prescription at Cologuard.com.
Welcome to a new era of baseball's great spectacle, the T-Mobile Home Run Derby, live on Netflix. The biggest sluggers in baseball put their talents to the test on All-Star Weekend. Raw power meets star power. Big swagger meets bigger slams. And you don't swing to make contact. You swing to make history. Watch the T-Mobile Home Run Derby live on Netflix, Monday, July 13th at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific.
In business, there's no room for guesswork. Every shipment matters. Every deadline counts. When you're trying to keep operations running smoothly, the last thing you need is uncertainty. That's why reliability is at the core of USPS Ground Advantage. From the moment your package is first scanned in, it moves through a secure nationwide network, aiding in a timely and accurate delivery. You get near real-time tracking so you can keep up with your shipments. And with affordable upfront pricing, there are no hidden fees or surprise surcharges to throw off your cost sheets. It all adds up to predictable deliveries you can depend on. Because knowing your logistics are handled lets you focus on everything else: your customers, your team, and the future you're building. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to start shipping with confidence. USPS, official shipping sponsor of the NHL.
It is our last episode. However, we do have some scheduling news. So you're listening to this just before 4th of July. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. Eat a lot of barbecue. It's going to be great. We are going to be completely off next week. It'll be the first week of the entire year in which we will have nothing coming out. So give us a break. We're taking a little mini vacation. We will be back on the 13th to record our monthly mailbag for July. So if you want to get a question in, the post will go up on Monday the 13th. You can sign up for the Country Club tier at patreon.com/IslandersAnxiety. Get your question in, listen to the episode, which will come out the next day on Tuesday. Country Club Atmosphere will follow that. Dan's Islanders Book Club will follow that. We are going to have stuff in August as well. Another mailbag, another Country Club Atmosphere, a few other stuff. I might throw some things out there. I forgot to mention this last week. I'm writing a little bit more, but we've also had a couple of great guest posts in the last couple of weeks at patreon.com/IslandersAnxiety. One from our friend John Zella, one from our friend Matt Klimberg. They're both great. They are both free to read for everybody. You do not need to be a patron or even a member to read them. They're, they obviously, the goal is to have people read this stuff. So we're going to make them free for everybody. So check those out too. They're really great. And maybe we'll get some more guest posts this summer. We never know, but we are going to have stuff all summer long. So, even if we take a week off here and there will be more stuff after that. Again, mailbag episodes, Country Club Atmosphere. So check all that stuff out. Maybe we'll do something fun. We have some fun ideas. Depends on getting together and coming in out of the heat. But for now, next week we're off. Mailbag on the 13th. So get your questions in at that point. Okay. Let's just really quickly go around the league. We're not going to go through everybody because there's just way too many. There's, I think, a couple of decent deals. Why don't we just start with the Leafs? I guess might just get it over with. They signed like 50 new guys, including Sergei Bobrovsky. Who else is there now? All these other like sort of mid-tier guys.
Yeah, Jack Roslovic.
I
basically just replaced Matias Maccelli with Matias
traded
Maccelli.
for Nick Paul.
The trade for Nick Paul was bizarre.
They're trying to get tougher for Eage. They're trying to do all this stuff. And, and again, what Chaos today was like, but are they better? And it's like, I don't know. Even the Kipper and Bourne guys were like, I don't know. So, yeah, I don't think they're better. I hope they're not better. But they are different. So there's that as well. Was there any kind of, let's talk with the good stuff first. Were there any free agent signings that you were like, wow, that's a pretty good signing for that team? Well, I can think of one off the bat. Ross Johnston goes to
yes, Ross. Yeah, for sure.
3-year contract.
I know. I'm so happy for Ross. I loved that those guys were getting scooped up. Like Jeff Vielle signed a 5-year deal.
Yeah.
That was sick. Like, that's so great. Good for them.
There was another guy who I never, Curtis Douglas. Yeah, I never even heard of this guy.
Yeah, he's huge. Zach McEwen went to the Leafs too.
Yes.
So that was fun. I was enjoying that run of enforcers, that just a little bit more than the backup goalie carousel. And then
VL 5 years, man. That's a lot.
That was so sick.
Yeah.
I was so happy about that. That's so fun. I love that it was Tampa too. Just like,
because the Panthers are fucking putting together the Hyannisport Presidents or whatever from Slapshot.
The Panthers. It's I don't think so. I really don't. I thought that this was maybe the July 1st that I looked forward to the least in maybe my entire life. And like you, I used to always make sure to like get around. I'll never forget being at my aunt and uncle's house in Levittown on July 1st, 2007, when all of our heroes departed. Ryan Smith, Tom Pody, Victor Kozlov, Jason Blake, all just going, and the Islanders. But don't worry, they're in on Drury and Gomez. They might bring both of them, and for them both to Panarin us to go to the Rangers. So, I've this one was just, it was so blah because of the players that were out there, the situation the team was in. Like, they just weren't going to be really a player. That nothing really, like, I didn't leave thinking anything of the actual moves, but like, I had a lot of thoughts about the Werenski situation. Was hilarious.
Yes,
that him and his family and the Blue Jackets put out a joint statement saying like, no, I actually like Columbus. I was just kidding, which was great because he the people in Toronto were like, this guy must be coming here. Like, he said no to a trade at Dallas. Like, let's clear the decks. So I was very happy for Zach Werenski to do that. Say no to the Leafs. I was kind of agitated with the Rangers. Like, they were getting better, which was annoying. I think
They picked up Jonas Korpisalo in a trade with the Bruins. Bjorkstrand, they obviously had already gotten what's his nuts, Dorofeyev from Vegas. So
they got the other Pettersson guy, the Marcus
Pettersson. They got Sean Dursey in the trade for Trocheck.
Yeah. I don't know, like I don't think they're scary right now, but they will. They didn't get the bounces last year, so you can definitely pencil them in for a 10-year run of them. But I mean, I don't know. I just thought it was honestly more about the peripheral stuff, like when Bobrovsky signed with the Leafs. I just got such a kick out of that. For every other free agent that gets signed, like it's just here's the here's whatever Anders Lee 5 times 3, or Patrick Kane 1 times 1, or whoever. And but when you go to the Leafs, I think that the Sergei Bobrovsky era is upon us in Toronto for each, so stuff like that was pissing me off all day, that's a me problem. But other than that, I just thought it was one of the strangest trade deadline free agency days, draft days that you'll get, because of what we were trying to make a big deal out of, right? The charts were flying over about the Matias Maccelli and such. So, but the Sharks trade, like you said, they traded for Darnell Nurse and signed Jacob Trouba, which is really funny.
It's so funny because coming out of the draft, everybody was like, oh my God. We talked about this in the last episode. Oh my God, the Sharks are a dynasty. Oh my God, look out. How are they letting the Sharks do all this? Mike Greer is cooking. Oh my God. They signed Jacob Trouba to a 4-year contract. That, by the way, is the exact contract I was afraid the Islanders were going to give Jacob Trouba. Like the exact to the dollar. I was like, oh my God, that's exactly what I was afraid of. And they traded for Darnell Nurse, and all of a sudden, that train emptied out in the blink of an eye. What are the Sharks doing? What a bunch of morons. How stupid can you be? You got all this, and you signed Trouba. Who was the other guy? Oh, Mason Marchment, they signed. Who's fine, but he, 5 years, whatever, almost $6 million. I think he's making. It's a lot, And so immediately they went from the smartest, best team, everybody's future favorite team, to being the dumbest assholes on the earth, And like, honestly, I'm joking about Trouba. He's probably washed, but I think Nurse is a good player. And like we've seen 100 times before, maybe not 100, but a few times before, you take a guy out of Edmonton, right, where you don't have Mark Spector crawling up your ass every day. You don't have people at the supermarket being like, when are you guys going to get Connor a cup? Because it's all your fault, right? It's your fault that he's never won a cup, and he's going to die a guy who didn't win a cup because of you. That's happened. When are you going to get once you get those guys out of Edmonton, believe it or not, they end up playing pretty good. We saw Justin Schultz do that. We saw Stu Skinner do that. Stu Skinner, by the way, is now in Winnipeg. Like, I'm not saying Darnell Nurse is Dennis Potvin or Borja Salming or whoever, but I'm saying that he's a pretty good player. He's just overpaid. And so the way people were acting him after he got traded to the Sharks just made me laugh. I was like, really? Like,
oh, it was great. It was, it was just fun. Like you said, it was fun to watch that bandwagon.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Empty out. And I like that. Yeah. The Panthers, Devils trade was fun to me because, I like watching teams who just address their problems very simply, like and quickly. Like the Panthers were Sergei Bobrovsky and them. Oh, it's not going to work out. Okay, we'll trade for Akira Schmid and we'll trade for Jacob Markstrom, and even whatever you think about those trades, whatever. But like they get both those guys in like the blink of an eye, and we're like, oh man, it might take 6 to 18 months for the Islanders to find a way out of the Anthony Duclair contract, and other teams just do it just like that. Vegas and Florida and Tampa. I mean Nashville now with the guy in Colorado. Like he's just making trades. He's like the talented Mr. Chayka is losing his goddamn mind.
Right.
I mean that ship has already sailed, but he was on Kipper and Bourne. Did an interview with them, and
I can't watch him, dude. He's so creepy. I can't even.
You can, like I said, you can see him thinking, how do I look? How would a human being look right now? Okay, I will do this. I will. Let me straighten my tie like a real human being, and like the words he says is so great. Discussing a hockey team, which I really appreciate. But they like these Dubas. These guys are everybody's flipping shit around. And the Islanders just aren't doing it. So I always just get a kick out of watching that and then seeing tweets from the Islanders or people who cover the Islanders being like, I should say one person who covers the Islanders being like, Darche is trying so hard, his phone is ringing off the hook, but just you can get it. There's a way to get it done. You can always get the stuff done. I watch Bill Zito get it done all the time.
Yeah, and I was Zito and Kelly McCrimmon, and maybe Vegas is a bad example, but like clearly, and I think this was on 32 Thoughts, where it's like Dorofeev, he's like, yeah, I think I kind of want somewhere around 11 million, and they were like, yeah, we were thinking more like 7 or 8. Well, guess what? You're not here anymore.
Right? Yeah,
just got rid of him.
And he's like, I know. He's like, I'm really happy he got that money. He just wasn't going to get it from us, and we took care of it. Yeah, the Pavel Dorofeev situation wasn't a situation, and then it became a situation. And within 6 hours, Vegas solved the situation. Yeah. Right? And the Islanders aren't alone. Like, there's a lot of other teams that seem to lumber through this stuff or are afraid to do it. And but it is always funny on these days watching those teams operate. Like Nick Paul, the Lightning are like, we gotta find money so we can sign John Carlson. And how are we gonna do that? Remember when we signed Nick Paul a 7-year deal, and everyone called us crazy? But then we're like, yeah, but he's not going to be here for all 7 years. We're the Tampa Bay Lightning. Well, guess what? He's now in Toronto, right? Yeah. So, and I was I love that trade because the talented Mr. Chayka, of course, wouldn't know because he doesn't have a shred of emotion in his body that Nick Paul is a huge public enemy in Toronto. Huge. Yes. Like, they can't stand the guy. He trades. Right. He makes a very strange trade for him, and they're like, we got to root for this guy who broke our heart and kind of doesn't even make sense for our team. Okay.
Yeah.
But once again, that was the Lightning just being like, oh no, we want to improve our team. Here's how we're going to make the room for it.
Yeah. Just get rid of him. Just get rid of a guy. Like, it's just, I mean, when you have guys that somebody wants, it's pretty impressive, or you're creative enough to make it work. And, you have the draft picks or whatever that they needed to, but yeah, no, that works. I'm looking at by the way, Mason Marchment is not making just under 6 million. He's making over 6 million, 6.7 million. So that's a little much. Again, for me, that the Sharks, I don't know, the overreacting to the Sharks. I think they're a playoff team. I think they could win the division next year. Like, that's how bad that division is. They have no goalie still. If they get a goalie, look out. But
I enjoyed the Zuccarello. Speaking of the Pacific, Zuccarello.
Oh yeah, you want to stay there? Yeah,
Zuccarello,
the Kings are hilarious. Yeah, the Kings are the funniest team in the league.
That's and I like that. Like, the Kings to me have just been the kind of same. Like, I used to be really interested in the Kings when, like, it was Adam Deadmarsh and stuff. Those kind of folks.
Right.
Who's the bald guy? Norcross, Matthias Norcross, or something.
Matt Green. He was the big bald guy.
Yeah. Like these. Like, I used to like those Kings.
That was the Felix Potvin there. Not Felix Potvin. Dan Cloutier.
Right. Dan Cloutier. Yeah. Those, the purple and black. And and then they got good, and they got like ruthlessly efficient, and they're just like, and they fudged around with their logo, and it became very blah. And now I'm like, okay, like this Kings team is hilarious now. We probably spent, like, in our 10 years, total of 22 minutes talking about the Kings.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, I want to watch to see how all these old guys get on. This is so cool.
It's so funny to me that Ken Holland, like, interviewed for the Islanders job.
Right.
And since taking the Kings job, because he didn't want to come to Long Island and he wanted to stay west, he has just made one insane move after another. And now his whole thing is collecting 37-year-old guys. So it's like, oh, Matt Zuccarello. Oh, hey, Corey Perry's available. We know that guy. Bring him back. So that team is very, very old, and I don't know what to make of them, but they are by far the most hilarious team in the league to watch for sure this year. I'm looking at the Rangers here, and this is on Puckpedia. So Dorofeev, Zibanejad, Miller, Lafreniere. We'll throw Bjorkstrand in there. It's not bad. It's not a bad top 3 plus. I don't know who's going to play on the other line with their second line of Leno maybe, or Gabe Perreault, I guess, whatever. And then afterwards, it's just a bunch of just dudes. Will Cooley, Taylor Radish, Ty Cartier, Joe Valeno, Matt Rempe. It's just dudes.
And basically. They've got, like, nobody signed the next year. So
they're also got $50 million.
Right. Well, that's the other thing that was really funny about we got $45 million of cap space. Yeah. And it's like, if you looked at the rankings, the Islanders have, like, the 16th most going into that season. Man, I think that if the Rangers have $45 million of cap space and you have $45 million in cap space, that's not good. Like that, because the Rangers will
yeah.
be able to get those guys.
I meant to mention this when we talked about it in the first half, but yeah, if they think they're going to solve their problems with free agency, I got another plans for you. Right. I got to tell you something. that's not going to happen. I hope you have a good plan for that $40 million, because it ain't coming from some big shot signing in the free agent. There's no Marian Hosas left out there. I don't think next year either. But yeah, and then the Rangers defense is Fox, Gavrikov, Dursey, Pettersson, Vakanainen, and I guess Matthew Robertson or Bradenstein. This team, I don't think this team, famous last, obviously Shesterkin and Korpisalo. This team, sure, the Metro's bad. They can make the playoffs. They can beat the Islanders 5 times, whatever. I get that, but this is not a good team. Like however they perform against the Islanders or finish in the division, it's not indicative.
If they weren't the Rangers, we'd be like this. Right. They're going to be bad, but they're the Rangers, so we just know that they'll get
exactly. Now, on the other hand, are the Washington Capitals, who also basically did what the Leafs did, only better. They acquired Alex Tuck. They acquired Jordan Kyrou. We talked about that. They acquired Boone Jenner. To me, this 5.75 for 4 years, that's too much for Boone Jenner. He's 33. He had like 37 points. Like that's nonsense. I mean, that's more like leadership. I don't really get that signing. They did bring in or bring back Alex Ovechkin this year for his, I guess, 25th season. He's 40 now. They just kept just enough cap room to bring him back. So it was funny because I was watching again What Chaos, and they're looking at the depth chart and like, where do you put Ovechkin? Who are you taking out of this lineup? And I'm looking at it and I'm like, guys, Anthony Beauvillier is right there. And like, I love Bo. We all love Bo. But if you're slotting in Alex Ovechkin or Anthony Beauvillier, I'm sorry, it's not a very difficult decision to make. I apologize to Bo. He's great. We love him. I love that smile. I love those eyes, but sorry, man, you're riding the pine if you gotta play. They got 17 guys named Protas, Tuck, Kyrou, Wilson, obviously. So that's pretty good. Their defense, I don't know. I mean, Chychrun's good, Ferravari's good. And then it's like Matt Roy again, dudes. Matt Roy, Sandin, Desharnais, who apparently is absolutely terrible. Like I've heard more than one person say today that he's barely an NHL defenseman. So that's a great signing. And then Timothy Liljegren, but they got Cole Hudson too. So, and then Thompson and Lindgren. So, I mean, this is a very good team. Like, this is really no joke. I'm not kidding. This Cavs team went from being out of the playoffs and very mid to being very, very good now. So I am very scared of them. And obviously the Hurricanes as well. Nobody else in this division really kind of scares me a little bit. The Penguins are going to fall, hopefully. But they did more. Anthony Mantha is still out there. He hasn't re-signed. They picked up some guy from Vegas, some defenseman. They traded our friend Parker Wotherspoon for him. So they made a couple little incremental moves here and there. Maybe they'll be good. Maybe they won't. I don't know. But they're the same kind of, they're not scary to me. I mean, they are because they have Crosby and Malkin, and obviously, but like as an entity, I don't find them that scary. Whereas the Caps and Hurricanes, I don't ever want to play them. I think I might just skip those 8 games or whatever. I just don't want to watch them play.
You forgot that they traded for Nicholas Robertson. How many hours of our lives were wasted on listening to these guys opining about Nick Robertson
and for a 4th round pick? For a 4th round pick.
A 4th round pick, like 4. You can't waive him. We got. They were talking about throwing him in for part of the package for Werenski. Like, do you think they'd want us? Robertson could score 18 to 22 goals. Sure. I think that the Don Waddell knows that you guys have been talking about whether or not to waive this guy. So yeah, the Nick Robertson era ends in Toronto, not with a bang but a whimper.
Right.
Anthony Beauvillier, by the way, 713 NHL games for Bo already.
It's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, he is like an NHL. I mean, it shouldn't surprise us because he made his debut a decade ago. But
right. Now that's a journeyman.
Yeah, he is a journeyman. He became a journeyman. Miss him. Maybe he comes back. Who knows? Maybe he's victim of the number game in Washington. And on that note, I know this is a little kind of off the topic, but it's crazy how it's just Barzal, Cizikas, Mayfield, Pelech, Polak. Barzal's left from the 2018-19 season, right? which is really weird when we think about how similar we still feel about the team. 15 guys have come and gone, and it just feels like they're replacing them with different versions of themselves. But I mean, the division is the Capitals certainly, like they couldn't score last year. They addressed that by getting guys who could score. I think that most people would say Hurricanes, Capitals. Everyone's going to say the Devils. Who knows? It depends on whether or not the Jack Hughes is just his shoulders stay working for the whole season, which doesn't seem to happen.
No more team dinners for you, Jack.
Yeah.
That's
and then it feels like the Islanders, Rangers, Flyers, Blue Jackets.
Yeah, the Flyers have been oddly quiet.
Yeah, we're all kind of in the same.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? Maybe, I think people would probably put the Flyers ahead of us. I think people would probably put the Rangers ahead of us right now with those trades, and the Blue Jackets and Islanders are sort of right there with one another. And I think that the Blue Jackets also provide a pretty good example about how the Islanders have the number one defenseman, but that doesn't guarantee that you're going to be good. Like that, they've had some outstanding seasons from Zach Werenski that they've squandered away. So,
100%. Yeah. I mean, I think about that whenever the McDavid conversation happens.
Yes, exactly.
I'm like, this guy is, I'm not obviously equating Matthew Schaefer to Connor McDavid, but like these guys have had the best two players in the world, and they are further from the Stanley Cup now than they were 5 years ago.
Right.
So it's pretty rough. Yeah.
But yeah, so it's like, it's weird. The conference itself, the league itself feels very beatable. But they couldn't take advantage of that last year, and I don't know, but I was happy at least that most of the kind of like the heavyweight slugfest thing that was going on in like the trade market was taking place on the Atlantic Division.
Yes,
because everyone's talking about like how much of a beast that's going to be again next year, and
yeah.
It is. I mean, that Panthers team, we called the Kings the most hilarious team in the league. The Panthers team is
the Panthers. Yeah.
Yeah, they are one of the coolest teams in sports right now. That's a really funny group of people that are just going to go out there and wear brass knuckles to every game. And then you got the Lightning and so, and the Canadians, who know, they should be better. So
yeah. And everybody's doing the cool guy thing and be like, the best deal of the day was Ivan Demidov resigning. Okay, you can't all make the same joke, guys. Like, yes, the deal's great. Like, don't get me wrong, but like, you got to find a new joke. Like, come on.
That was really annoying.
Yeah. The Panthers, I would say that what's great about the Panthers is that that hilarious team could win the Stanley Cup. But then I remember that Jacob Markstrom is their goalie. Yeah. And I'm like, that's absurd. Like, I know.
But what I like about that, what'll be fun about that is if Jacob Markstrom sucks, it'll be fun to watch the Panthers then be like, all right, we're just gonna go get this goalie instead, right, and do it and work it out really quickly.
I mean, I'll tell you right now, it's either going to be Connor Hellebuck or Jordan Binnington. One of them.
Right.
It has to be right. Those are the only two guys that qualify. That's it. And Binnington, yes, is bad, but he's got the rings, the pedigree.
I think somebody was going through the Panthers. Everyone's talking about this is the best top 9 like you've ever seen in like terms of their forwards. And when Eetu Luostarinen signed, somebody pointed out that every single forward in their top 9 has a no movement clause from now until like I think 2030 or something, whatever it was. But everyone and no movement clause for the next 2 seasons at least. Except for Anton Lindell. So it's just like these guys know, like, no, this is it. This is the group. This is gonna be fun. We have to be together forever, for these next 2 years, no matter what. Like nobody can do shit about it.
Right.
So it's they're what a funny group. And and then their D, I think they're all 4 of their top 4 D also have no movement clause. So it's like 12. They're 12 most important players. Good for them.
It's gonna be insane.
And this is a team that like 6 years ago was like close to not being in the NHL. So it can happen. It can happen.
Right. Well, just a couple of things real quick. The most laughable deal, I think, for most people was Bo Byram getting $12 million a year from the Blackhawks. I mean, nice player, but Jesus Christ, that's a lot. And my Chicago Blackhawk friends, none too happy about it, but that's quite a lot. What was the other one? Oh yeah, Rasmus Andersson, we should mention, got the haul from Vegas to stick around, $8.5 million per 7 years. Again, that was not the deal that I would have given him. I was going to go shorter, but good for him. He gets to stay there, so that's fine. Hopefully he finds his way. And then 3 former Islanders to remember and hopefully keep an eye on next year. Scott Perunovich signed with the Kings, one of the few guys under 30 years old. He's only 27. Ross Johnson, we already mentioned. Who was the other guy? AJ Greer, one-time farmhand for the Islanders, Stanley Cup champion with the Panthers, getting $4.2 million a year for 4 years by the Anaheim Ducks. That's a lot for AJ Greer. A useful guy, but man, 4.2 a year for 4 years. That is a lot. I don't know why you would do that. And then
did we mention the Gudis thing with the Panthers too? Like, I don't even
very briefly.
That was like the point of that whole thing, was just like, and then they bring in Radko Gudis, who they uploaded a highlight video of him, and it just says the Butcher. And like, it's all these dirty hits that he's laid on people for this entire career. Which, I mean, look, the Islanders are very unlikely to win the Stanley Cup next year, but the Florida Panthers remain a warm blanket for me, knowing that for one of our deep hated rivals, the Toronto Maple Leafs, to get there, they got to go through these guys. Garnet Hathaway.
Yeah. The Garnet Hathaway thing is too much too. Yeah. The final guy I just remembered, Dennis Cholowski, now a member of the New York Rangers. So he's done the tour, the Devils, Rangers,
the Aaron Ashram tour.
That's right. So that was a big one. That was today. And also I have to bid a fond farewell to Johnny Brodzinski, who was Rangers player and seemed to kill the Islanders every time. Well, he's off to Washington now. I know they're going to see him the same amount of times, but I'm sick of watching this guy. And I hope that he spends most of his time in Hershey, because I'm sick of it. Johnny Brodzinski, I don't know why this guy drives me nuts. But first of all, he has a name that sounds like he should have been playing in the 50s with like Andy Bathgate, people like that. But I'm glad that he's not in the New York metro area anymore. So that's that. Okay. Very, very quickly, just, again, we're going to be back in October. So this is just a season finale. We do these to give ourselves a break for the summer. We've had a lot of fun. The team was not a lot of fun to watch, but we have had a lot of fun as always. This is our 10th year. We thank you so much for being along with us, whether this was your first season listening to us or your 10th season. We really thank you for going along on the ride with us. We have a very, very loyal and stable audience, and I can't thank you all enough, especially our patrons who pay for us and get the extra stuff that hopefully they feel is worthy of their $5 a month. We started the chats this year, which have been phenomenal. Nobody's been a dick, which is great. I had more than one person send me the same Reddit thread from, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago. It was from the Islanders subreddit, and somebody just asked, like, what's everybody's favorite Islanders podcast? We got a lot of mentions in there. Made me feel very good. Again, multiple people sent me that. So they're like, yeah, check that. I was like, yeah, I saw it. It's very nice. We thank everybody so much. There's a lot of options in there. There's a couple of people who, aren't fans, and that's cool. We appreciate you too, because we're not for everybody. We get that. There's lots of options out there. But for those of you that spend your time with us, we very much appreciate it. And I got to tell you, after doing this for 10 years with you, and obviously branching out to Weird Islanders and the mailbags and all the Patreon stuff we do, I know we don't have the biggest reach in hockey podcast world. We're not 32 Thoughts. We're not Spittin' Chicklets. We're not What Chaos. We're not any of these bigger guys. I sincerely put our output up against any other hockey podcast out there. I feel like we're creative. We're fun. We have a good time. Yes, well, obviously we're focused on the Islanders, don't normally get a lot of focus. So if you're not an Islanders fan, I could see us being a little bit much, but I listen to other podcasts and they're very good sometimes and very informative, but and I feel like our stuff is right up alongside with them. We are very creative. We remember the most esoteric stuff and players from decades ago, and you don't get that a lot with hockey podcasts. I feel like we try and bring as much fun to this as possible, and so we hope that you have fun listening to us, whether it's in your commute, whether it's out in the backyard, maybe on the 4th of July, having a drink and a hot dog, wherever you are. We hope that we have brought you some fun, some catharsis, maybe a little bit of information. It's not really our thing, but maybe a little bit of that. Maybe you learned something a little bit from us. And overall, just, we thank you so much for listening to us, and just be excellent to each other out there, in the words of Bill and Ted. be kind to each other. Try to make somebody's day a little bit brighter. And that's what we try to do, while also being very, very sad about this team a lot, which is not an easy thing to do. But anyway, that's my spiel. If you've listened to this episode this long, again, we really appreciate it. Any final thoughts from you, Mike, before we wrap this episode up? kind of ride off into the sunset for another summer.
The cabin is calling.
Pierre posted his picture of the cabin.
So that's it. It's the white smoke. He can't help himself, Kenny.
Right.
Kenny. I'm just very glad that at least if he's there, it means that I'm not going to have to hear the term "go to market." It's a go to market free zone now. But yeah, I echo what you say and about how grateful I am about for the audience and the people I met through doing this, which I really didn't understand. Didn't think that would happen. Like when we first started, I was just thought you just go on, you start talking and talk about the Islanders. You let your emotions out in a healthy manner about a sports team, and then you go about your day, and that's how I looked at it. But then I started to dawn on me that, boy, a lot of the people who I talk to all day long are people who I've met through doing this, which is
very cool.
And you were one of them. So like, it's, it's just like, I think it's something that I just didn't think would happen. It was kind of an unintended consequence, and one I'm very grateful for happening. And it also, I think the sense of humor that Islander fans have, and especially the folks who listen to this podcast have about the team and its place in the hockey world and sporting society, it's up there with some of the best. And I'm not just talking about in North America. I think that the amount of people who I've met from out of the country, and I explain like the plight of an Islander fan and what it means to be an Islander fan, and they're just like, boy, you guys are like the real deal, right? Like that's what sports are, and sports are meant to be, is like this deep connection through thick and thin, and most, how the thin really kind of shapes you. But and so like the sense of humor we have about that is just, I think it's so much fun, and it adds so much color to my day and to my life, and this podcast does, and as well. So I've also really enjoyed thinking about how you and I, now we've been doing this for 10 years, and not once have you or me ever been like, you know what, we should start like doing video clips and send like everybody else. Right. We've probably left like a lot of a lot of engagement metrics on the table.
We're not on TikTok. We're not on Instagram. Exactly. We're barely on YouTube, really.
And when you think of a podcast, like people still talk about it as, oh, this new media form, and it is, right? It's like what, 20 years old, probably. Podcasting,
something like that.
And I think that now we're sort of like a throwback. I don't know if there are any podcasts, especially ones that are regular, like ours are, and have an audience the size of ours, that are just like, I just don't really feel like doing the like the other stuff that you need to do to expand your brand, right? We which I've with the YouTube algorithm essentially living inside your head at this point. I've thought about that quite a bit, and how media has changed, and we've just been like, no, we're essentially doing the version of like a 10-10 wins radio show in 2011, basically. I don't know.
I think it's us and 32 Thoughts. They're the only ones in no video. That's it.
Yeah. And they tried to for a little while. I remember them trying to at the end of the Jeff thing. Right. But yeah, I mean, it's a really special part of my life, and it's the community aspect to it has been the best part, I think. And once again, didn't think that was going to happen. So and as you said, and whenever I get feedback, most of the time it's people saying that they appreciate that we're a little different from a sports podcast, where we're just trying. Most people are giving opinions on and pontificating about the team structure and X's and O's or salary cap and all that kind of stuff. And you and I are more about just, well, this is going to ruin my day, or here's how this big win, I handled it by celebrating by myself in my dark living room. Right. So I always find that when I hear that, it's very rewarding, because that is exactly what I think you and I have always set out to be, which is a change of pace from what's out there, and why it's now been 10 years. So yeah, it's awesome. I always just I never take it for granted, and I think I'm a much healthier person and in a healthier headspace.
Yeah.
For being able to do this and for it to go the way it has.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's a creative outlet. It's an outlet for our frustrations. I think our marriages are healthier for doing this.
It'd be very different for me if I was just turned to Emily and was like, I got to talk to you about Mark Gatcomb.
Like just to tell you guys, like we spent, whatever it was 10 minutes talking about this tweet from Michael Russo. Neither of us is turning to our wives and be like, can you believe what this fucker wrote on like, we're not going to do that. So we get to do that here with each other. We get to laugh. We understand each other. And yes, it has been a gift. It's great. 10 years is a long time for a single podcast to do. And that wouldn't happen if we weren't who we are, if we did not have, the relationship that we have. And it's just been a gift. And I can't wait for season 11. How the Islanders operate in that season, I have no idea. But I'm excited to dive into it with you and see what else we come up with and what other fun stuff we have going on. So thank you again so much for listening. Become a member at patreon.com/IslandersAnxiety for ad-free episodes, bonus shows, written posts, chats with us all summer long. Don't let the summer thing fool you. Sign up at patreon.com/IslandersAnxiety. Our theme song is Morning Haze by Family Dinner. Listen to more of their music on Spotify. Read Lighthouse Hockey every single day for your most up-to-date Islanders news and discussion, even during the summer. Again, Islanders Anxiety Podcast are part of the Fans First Sports Network. Please leave us a review where you can. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It is absolutely pathetic. We have 4 digits in terms of like downloads, and we have literally less than 300 subscribers on YouTube. Like, come on. Where is everybody? I don't understand. If you're listening to this show, you have YouTube. Everybody has YouTube. Just go there and subscribe. I don't care if you ever use it. Just subscribe. Shop VintageIceHockey.com. Try wines from the Pinot Project. Thanks to them for being the great partners that they are. Mike, season 10 in the books. It's crazy. I don't know what else there is to say.
Yeah, season 10 and yeah, season 11 will be our first one without Anders Lee, which is,
Wow.
a little weird. And yeah,
now I'm saying it again.
But yeah, no. But that was one of the things I was thinking about this whole time. I'm like, wow, it's gonna be our first time that we'll have the Islanders without Anders since doing this. So, but yeah, season 10 in the books, season 11, who knows what will come. It will just be I'm sure at some points wonderful, and then at a lot of other points we will just be considering whether or not we'll be back next week because the Islanders are making us so upset. So look forward to that coming your way as the 2021, 2022, 2022, 2023, 2023, 2024, 2024, 2025, 2025, 2026, 2026, 2027 New York Islanders hit the ice at UBS Arena in October.
Perfect way to end it. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back in October. All right, take care. Have a great summer. Bye-bye.